bioplastics and multi-composite biopolymers, which are being currently done. And like these are some of the high-end applications, right? Some of the low-end applications can include biochar activated carbon. It is mostly used as fish feed or manure as well, right? So there is a lot of application for that. If nothing else works, then we can go for that. Like that kind of sentiment is there. And this is animal waste, so it's quite time sensitive. Like to utilize them, you have to have a game plan there. Like, okay, this has to be done within this period of time, like within 3 hours it has to be transported from the processing area to our lab, and then I have to do this unit operation, this should be done, and then next step. So a lot of planning and labor goes into this. It's not only the knowledge which matters. So otherwise it's very time sensitive, it gets spoiled very quick. So that is one of the aspects I think which is very challenging in case of animal waste as compared to the plant waste. Like the utilization is very time sensitive. So this is the internal organ. While the initial fillets are being produced, like this is the frame. Salmon is a big fish. Okay, these are the different parts of the salmon. Like this is the like I experimented on salmon in that facility, and salmon was the dominant species which was consumed in Newfoundland. So that's why these are some of the pictures of salmon which we were using there for doing the research. So this is how it looked when we got the different parts, and after grinding and processing, like this was we used to call it guts, but it's basically viscera. You will see this word like interchangeable at different places. Then head, then frame, all are ground here. So this is how they look after like grinding. Head is a bit darker because of higher mineral concentration, bones and all. And of course, frame is darker from viscera because it also has bones. But this part is quite darker because of the predominance of minerals. Here you can see that moisture content is quite high. Fat amount present in all different parts. But like there is quite a lot of utilization of frame and head in that area because it's used as mink feed. Like that's another animal which is grown for fur, and the fur is used for making coats and all those kind of products in Newfoundland. So there wasn't much application of the viscera. So, and this is something which gets damaged very soon. Like this gets spoiled very soon because of the presence of enzymes inside the organs. So that's like even you have to think quite quick in that case, like work very quick in that case, we can say. So this is a more elaborate description, like on an average, what is the composition of different minerals in the fish waste. You can see here magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, zinc, all these components are present. And that's why like if we want to make a concoction of different micronutrients using the fish waste also after utilizing its oil and protein, everything, there is that possibility as well. Like we don't have to even switch over to making it as a manual after extracting all the other valuable components like protein hydrolysate and oil. So means it can be used completely. That's what is my intention of saying it. These are some of the video links here, which you can definitely check out to see the commercial processing of fish, how it is done in the fish industry. That will give you a better idea about like how these byproducts are being produced. In case of shellfish, as you can see here, like this is the shrimp waste and this is a crab waste. So for like as because I was talking about astaxanthin and like biodiesel and all these kind of products, so I'm going to stick to these like finfish and then shrimp and crab waste for explanation of different utilizations. That will be easier for me. Because it's quite vast, right? Every single byproduct has its own application. So yeah, if we look at the shrimp waste and crab shells, here you can see that protein is quite high. Lipid is there, but a bit lower than, of course, the fin fish. And then apart from that, a lot of ash, means minerals are there in both these cases. So one of the challenges of utilizing this waste is to deal with the mineral content of the waste. So it has to be thoroughly digested, the shells, and after that only you can further utilize the chitin content or the astaxanthin can be extracted from that. It's like the deterioration of the structure has to be there before further utilization. So mainly in the tissues, belly flap, liver, and muscle tissue in the head, these are the areas where fish lipids are predominant. So our daily dose is like 1 gram of fish oil. It contains 1/3 of omega-3. And to avoid diseases, we need 500 milligram of omega-3 per day. And then minimum, like for great health, 1000 mg of omega-3 per day. So that kind of emphasizes that even though we consume fish, we might not be able to attain all the amount of omega-3 which we after consuming all different kind of sources. Like the pills made out of fish waste and even the small fishes makes it easier to complete the doses required. So codfish, that has quite high lipid content, like among different kind of fishes. Mackerel also, you can see that it has quite high lipid content. So these are certain fish varieties which are actually quite exploited for the extraction of fish oil as well as omega-3. So this is like one of the experiments which I conducted there. So this was done mainly on the frames. So we digested it using enzymes at a particular temperature, and then this was centrifuged. Like this was digested. After that, the enzyme was deactivated, and then it was centrifuged. So these are the 4 layers which were made, and the bones were separated. Okay, so this is quite, and this is the part which has mainly the minerals and again protein as well. So that is there. But here on the top, you can see there is oil. This is orange because presence of astaxanthin in salmon as well. This was salmon, from the salmon. And this is like an emulsion of oil and protein in the middle. And then this is protein hydrolysate underneath that. And the bottom one contains the ash content. So that was further I was separating the oil finally. So this was kind of the solid content which we were obtaining. And this could have been applied as manure or anything else as well for biochar preparation for anything. And then here you can see that, okay, oil and protein hydrolysate, we were separating it. And further analysis of oil. We were mainly concentrating on oil during that project. But of course, this was the protein fraction. So we did try a couple of experiments with this through spray drying, and it was quite nice powder. That could have been further investigated and exploited to get other products as well. So yeah, these are PUFAs, right? So mainly the ALA, EPA, DHA. I think you know all these group of omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids, and these are mainly useful for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer, inflammatory disease, and rheumatoid arthritis, right? So if we summarize like the different processing steps which are required to get these PUFAs, we can say that initially, depending on if we are able to utilize the material immediately or we want to use it in the long term, we can dry it, grind it, or like grind it and then dry it, and or grind it and freeze it, or grind it and use it directly for extraction. Solvent extraction can be used, enzymatic, cold pressing, supercritical extraction. Of course, for supercritical, we need the drying. And then further purification of omega-3 can be done using supercritical extraction, enzymatic lipolysis, urea complexation, and distillation can also be used. And these are few of the applications. which have been summarized here. So there's a lot of scope there. Then astaxanthin is a very interesting compound. Most of the time, you might have seen that after cooking, a lot of shrimp that changes color, right? So in those cases, like astaxanthin is the one which is responsible. So that is like one of the components which kind of changes the color after cooking, because basically that compound is bluish brown, and it changes color once it is cooked to the this kind of color. But this is mainly present in Hematococcus fluvialis. So the color attained in whether it is like shrimp or crab or fish, they are all consuming this astaxanthin from some other source and accumulating in their body. It's also present in some of the birds, so that's there as well. So like these kind of tablets are also available there, and mainly it is dispersed in oil, you will see. And krill is one of the small animals which hasn't been like that much exploited. In certain areas, yes, but not everywhere, which is a very rich source of this astaxanthin. It accumulates quite a lot. And crab and mussels as well. And these are some of the health claims which have been associated with astaxanthin, like anti-aging properties, cardiovascular, eye and liver effects are there. It's useful against neurodegenerative. The antioxidant property is quite more dominant than vitamin E, C, beta carotene. I mean, it's these are some of the compounds which are quite known for that property, right? And then like many diseases also, it has preventative quality against those. So that this is not only a color compound, but it's a color compound with benefits. So sample preparation is actually a very important step for getting this compound. And I mentioned before that it is soluble, like generally extracted using solvent extraction. Oil is a very good solvent for this compound. So that is there. So after sample preparation means digestion is required of the external shell. So that is there. Sometimes it's acid digestion is done or microbial digestion is done, after which all the extraction techniques can be applied for extracting this astaxanthin compound. So these are some of the techniques, like using enzymes, proteolytic enzymes. We can also, of course, filtration, centrifugation. These are certain steps which go hand in hand along with the different techniques which are used for extraction. So either you can categorize these as a pre-treatment as well as an extraction step. Depends on the kind of study you are doing. But fermentation, enzymatic extraction, solvent extraction using oils, as well as supercritical fluid extraction. These are some of the useful techniques which are currently being used extensively for astaxanthin. So chitin and chitosan, this is also some important components which can be, like during the sequential extraction of different compounds, this is something which can be heavily extracted from the shellfishes, especially. This is a aminopolysaccharide polymer. Many of you might be familiar with that. And it has a lot of biomedical application, like in tissue engineering. It's used for making artificial kidney, skin, bone, cartilage, liver, nerve, tendon. It's useful in wound healing. And chitosan-based films are also being made right now. Edible films, antimicrobial films, films with antioxidant properties. It can be mixed with different components for higher absorption and all these kind of things as well. So this is like basically a flow chart showing you different steps. If we are extracting the chitin and chitosan from crustacean cells, so it can be either biological method or chemical method. So first, of course, cleaning part is there. Then dried and crushed powder is made. Then in biological method, lactic acid bacteria, these are used for the demineralization step, so that calcium carbonate and calcium phosphate can be removed. Then the deproteinization step is being used. where protease is producing bacteria are used for removing the proteins. And finally, for decoloration, this is the step where astaxanthin is removed. Okay. So similarly, in place of lactic acid bacteria, acidic treatment is used for demineralization. Then alkali treatment is used for deproteination, and then acetone is also used. Like means acetone organic solvents, or means oil is something in which the astaxanthin can be dispersed in the end after purification and all, so that readily usable product can be produced for using that. So that is there. And after this decolorization step, we are getting chitin, from which acetylation step is used, where chitin deacetylase is used, so that we are getting the chitosan in the end. So that's like the end product, which you can say here. So biorefinery concept, when I'm saying, it's like you can get different stuffs, right? Sequentially extract fish oil and use it depending on whether it has very good quality. It can be used for PFRs and all these things. And in the process, protein is being used, produced, fish meal can be produced, fish chylus can be produced. And from this fish oil, again, omega-3, that is extracted, further purified and extracted. If this is not high quality fish oil, then it can be converted to biodiesel, where glycerol is also obtained. That can be further used for fermentation, and different other products can be produced. So this is something from which sequentially, if we are trying to extract and obtain product, there's a lot of scope there. In case of finfish, again, if we look at the biorefinery of the shellfish, then again there are two ways, where this is like a summary where I have summarized for astaxanthin. On the way, chitin, chitosan, protein hydrolysate, and fatty acids are also being produced. On a larger scale, we can definitely get a lot of it, right? So that is there. Otherwise, astaxanthin can be one of the products, and the end product can be chitin, chitosan, right? A protein hydrolysate will always be a co-product of the processing of astaxanthin as well as chitin, chitosan. So that is going to be there. So, I would say that a lot of scope is there for when we are thinking about valorization of fish processing waste. A lot can be done, and as we are exploring new fish varieties, new kind of nutraceuticals are being produced, and many things are happening. So there is a lot of scope there. Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to thank Mishra sir again for this opportunity, and the FCTL group who invited me, and happy World Environment Day. This I borrowed from Vasudha. I really liked it, so I kept it for today's seminar.
Very nice and elaborative presentation, Winny. Good.
Thank you, sir.
I hope it must have generated a lot of interest and enthusiasm among the participants.
Yeah. No, it's not compulsory. It's Saturday, everybody is tired.
No, actually, ma'am, actually, I have this topic is totally new to me. I have very little idea about it. But still, I
Yes, of
have one
course.
question in mind that, the cyclones which come, like Amphan or this Yas, which I've just recently visited West Bengal. So, lot of fishes have been destroyed, means those were spoiled. So, all this means waste products. So, can we use means this biorefineries and everything, means the valorization? Is this applicable for this waste fish products or waste fish?
Actually, like the high value commodities like PUFAs and Astaxanthin and all these things might not be possible. But one of the things which can be done is silage. Like it can be further digested, and this is something which is actually being done in Western countries quite a lot because waste is a part of food industry. I mean, you can't help it. So there is a lot of scope that all these fish can be further digested, waste fish, and under like further fermented, acidic fermentation or alkaline fermentation, and then they can be used as fish feed, or if
Okay,
not
okay.
even as a fish feed, then manure. Like there is a high percentage of all these minerals, right? So after
Yes.
digestion, there is a lot of scope there that it can be used as a fish feed, like not only fish feed, animal feed, even any kind of aquatic animal feed, chicken feed, anyways. And apart from that, manure. There is a lot of scope there because, anyways, it is going to be polluting the water again, isn't it?
Hmm.
Into the water, then it pollutes the water. It increases the carbon, nitrogen, all these components in water. So before that, if we use it and then disperse, then of course a lot can be done. Yeah.
What
Yes.
about that? Can they be used for mucopolysaccharide extraction, chitin, etc.?
Winnie, oh, so,
I think, sir,
Winnie,
chitin
ma'am, I
can,
also have a question.
chitin and
Sorry.
let me just answer this one, Jashi. Chitin, sir, probably can be polysaccharide, probably, but like the whether the grade will be medical grade or pharmaceutical grade or
Of course,
cosmetic grade, that would be
IL and
difficult.
IL,
Yeah,
Sir,
that may be.
yes,
yeah. So
sir,
that
even
might get affected. Means purification process, all these things, or maybe pre-treatment part, that might have to be increased
That
to
I think
increase the.
even spoiled fish is a huge quantity in our country,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
So they can be used for these products, particularly mucopolysaccharide, chitin, etc.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Rajendra,
ma'am,
yes.
no, ma'am. Actually, so this issue was raised. Means just few days before, during after this years, this issue was raised that so many fishes died due to this cyclone. So what can we do with all those?
Yeah,
So,
silage is actually a very big option. A lot of this, as I mentioned before as well, this is a problem which is universal. I mean, fish industry while growing also a lot of fish, and maybe you might be aware already that aware means everybody knows. I think fish eats fish. If you are growing fish, a fish dies. Of course, it's not. They are not taking out the dead fish from the aquaculture. Fish is eating the